Welcome to Geek on Film with your host, Robbie Holmes. Hey there, folks. This is Robbie. It's good to have you along for the ride. Welcome to Geek on Film. This week, the main review is going to be Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. But before that, I'm going to talk about 4 films that I watched this week. 1 rewatch and 3 new watches. Starting to tick off some stuff in my watch list that I haven't gotten a chance to see that are important films that I really am excited to finally get around to. So we'll start with first, The Apartment. So this is a Billy Wilder film, and I'm really excited because I don't have a ton of history with any of his work. So let's start with our friends over at IMDb. Here's what the summary is. A Manhattan insurance clerk tries to rise in his company by letting its executives use his apartment for trysts, but complications and a romance of his own ensue. This movie was written by I.A.L. Diamond and Billy Wilder and directed by Billy Wilder. And the the up-and-coming person in the insurance business is C.C. Baxter, played by Jack Lemmon. And the person that is sort of the central point of the romances in this film is Shirley MacLaine as Fran Kubelik. The highest end of the executive staff is played by Fred McMurray, and he plays Jeff Sheldrick. But you've also got Ray Walston in here as Joe Doblich, and you've got just so many good actors from this era. You've got Jack Krushkin as Dr. Dreyfus, who is Jack Lemmon's neighbor in his apartment. Just so many good people in this. I had such a blast. This movie is one that people often talk about as like one of the best comedies of all time. And we watched it. I bought it on 4K Blu-ray because I've been hearing so many good things about it over the last year or two. Every time I start looking at films to watch, this is one that comes up. And I really enjoyed it. I had so much fun. It's definitely a film of its time, but it still resonates today. It's funny, it's sharp. The script is really, really sharp. And the acting is great. Like, you get such amazing turns. Jack Lemmon is so good in this film as the sort of, creative, clever, younger version of himself than I've ever seen. And I was really impressed. And Shirley MacLaine is fantastic. I can see now why her star was what it was when I was growing up. So I was really only exposed to Shirley MacLaine probably in her 70s. And here she is probably in her late 30s. And she's fantastic. She's so fun and so funny and amazingly quick and sharp in the way that her dialogue is delivered. And Fred McMurray, it's just so crazy to see, Fred from My Three Sons, which was already, off the air by the time I was a kid, but I've never really seen Fred McMurray in anything else. And he's playing this sort of slimy executive who has a pattern for what he does with women. It's a fun film. If you haven't seen it, you should probably check it out. For me, I saw it on 4K Blu-ray, like I mentioned, but it seems like right now it's on Hoopla. And if I haven't gotten a chance or you don't know what it is, Hoopla is a service that's usually available through your local library, and you should be using it. That one and Canopy are the two that most libraries subscribe to. That's it for this movie. You should definitely watch The Apartment. It's super fun. The next was a rewatch for me. I had bought the 4K Blu-ray of The Usual Suspects. It's a film that I don't think my wife had ever seen, and I feel like it is one of those films that is referenced a lot or talked about a lot because of the Kaiser Sose aspect of it, or the way the characters are sort of caricatures and how it all came together. I just feel like it's one of those movies that's often referenced. So it's written by Christopher McQuarrie, which is an interesting one. He went on to do so much stuff now with Tom Cruise, and it was directed by Bryan Singer, reportedly not a person you'd probably want to be working with. The IMDb for this film is the sole survivor of a peer shootout tells the story of how a notorious criminal influenced the events that began with 5 criminals meeting in a seemingly random police lineup. So those 5 criminals are Kevin Spacey playing Verbal, Gabriel Byrne playing Keaton, Stephen Baldwin playing McManus, and then you've got Kevin Pollak playing Hockney and Benicio del Toro playing Finster. There's so many characters here that are interspersed throughout. You've got Pete Postlethwaite playing Kobayashi. You've also got Chaz Palminteri playing Dave Coogan, who's trying to track all of this down. And you've also got Giancarlo Esposito dancing around trying to figure this out. And it's a tour de force for this era of films, in my opinion. It's it's really clever. It's very smart. The script still holds up, in my opinion. Made in 1995. The 4K Blu-ray of it looks fantastic. The caricatures are still there. I think it is a little bit larger in my memory than it is to rewatch it. It's a film that I feel like on when I watched it, probably in 96, 97 for the first time. I hadn't been exposed to this type of filmmaking before. And I feel like lots of things have been influenced by this film now. But revisiting it was nostalgic for sure. But the reality is, it's not the same film from my perspective that I saw then because of what we know about sort of the director and the alleged aspects of the director and the alleged aspects of the lead of this film, Kevin Spacey. It's hard to not bring any of that to the table today when back then I didn't have to think about that. I would say it's a great film for people who have never seen it. I think if you've seen it before, it doesn't really have a great rewatch value. Probably leave your memory intact and don't have it messed with by rewatching this. You can check out The Usual Suspects over on AMC right now. So the next film up for me was Charade. I really can't say enough good about this film. 1963, it was written by Peter Stone and Mark Bam, and it was directed by Stanley Donen. And IMDb has the summary as romance and suspense ensue in Paris as a woman is pursued by several men who want a fortune her murdered husband had stolen. Whom can she trust? And that wife is Regina Lambert, played by Audrey Hepburn. And then there's a series of men that she interacts with. Not going to say who anyone is or what their role was, but just know you've got Cary Grant in sort of his silver fox phase, Walter Matthau not looking like he's 100 years old. He's pretty amazing in this film. James Coburn playing a caricature, a character named Tex, who's a caricature. And you've got so many other people. You got George Kennedy in this. You've got Ned Glass. You've got Dominique Manu. You've got Jacques Marin. And it's so fun. It's fun. It's crisp. This script is absolutely holds up all these years later. It is sharp. The music of Henry Mancini is driving this entire film. But a big shout out to Charles Lang, the director of photography. It is shot beautifully, and the lighting in this film is also unreal. The amount of work that is done to shine a spotlight on the eyes of Audrey Hepburn, or to remind us of what's going on here. She's a little bit further on in her career at this point, but still a young ingenue, and the film really does revolve around her. In my opinion, I watched this with my mother and my mother, my mother-in-law, and my wife, and I said, it really does feel like a passing of the baton almost from Cary Grant to Audrey Hepburn. It's such a classic and beautiful film. That's really fun and it surprisingly holds up for today. You should go watch it. It's over on Amazon Prime. The fourth film this week before my main review is Sabrina. And our friends over at IMDb have it as a playboy becomes interested in the daughter of his family chauffeur, but it's his more serious brother that would be the better man for her. This was written by Billy Wilder, Samuel A. Taylor, and Ernest Leham, and directed by Billy Wilder. This is another film I'm really excited to have ticked off my list because of all the reasons. So the main character that we follow throughout this film is Sabrina Fairchild, and she's played by Audrey Hepburn. And the playboy that was mentioned in the synopsis is David Larrabee, played by William Holden. And the more serious brother is is Linus Larrabee, and that's played by Humphrey Bogart. William Hamden is in this as the father of these two boys, and then you've got James Williams playing Thomas Fairchild, their driver of their cars, and the father of Sabrina. This movie is unbelievable. For a film that was shot in 19 was released in 1954, it is unbelievable how well it's shot, how fast it moves. It's so much fun. The nature is great. The script is playful, and you get some real interesting setups and payoffs. Like there's so many fun aspects to this film. And Bogart is sort of this is one of his last films, and it's one of Audrey Hepburn's first. And you've got William Holden here, sort of just a little bit older, and it just feels like this weird mix of people from different times in film all coming together to make a really fun film. I wish more people could see this. I think it's a film that if people talk about older films being slow or not having any not feeling relevant today, I mean, this movie is great. It's really about a woman who is from a lower class who grows up sort of Cinderella style and becomes the beautiful princess for a little bit and is finally recognized by the prince and the prince's brother. It's great. You should watch this film. It's on Pluto TV right now, and it's definitely one of my blind spots, and I'm starting to tick as many of them off as I can. This movie was great. I look forward to more of these films, more Billy Wilder films, more Audrey Hepburn films, more Bogart films. I'm all in. Let's do this. It's going to be sort of my mission this year is to clean up some of these blind spots. All right, here we are. We are up to the main review is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. This movie was written by Gil Keenan, Jason Reitman, and Ivan Reitman, and the director is Gil Keenan. The summary, according to our friends at IMDb, is when the discovery of an ancient artifact unleashes an evil force, Ghostbusters, new and old, must join forces to protect their home and save the world from a second ice age. So this cast is based on the characters that were introduced in Ghostbusters Afterlife. So you've got Paul Rudd playing Gary Groberson. You've got Carrie Coon playing Kaylee Spangler. You've got Finn Wolfhard playing Trevor Spangler. You've got McKenna Grace playing Phoebe Spangler. And this movie introduces a couple of new characters. Well, brings back Logan Kim as Podcast, Celeste O'Connor as Lucky. That's about it for characters that we brought back. And then you have Kumail Nanjiani playing Nadim Razmati and Patton Oswalt playing Dr. Hubert Wartiski. This film was fun. I actually like this film, I think, a little bit more than Ghostbusters Afterlife. Ghostbusters Afterlife felt to me a little bit like it was carrying the weight of the loss of Ivan Reitman because he passed away just before that film was created and released. And I feel like the whole movie is a little somber. There's also a lot of exposition needed to introduce us to the new characters, to get us to understand how and why these people are involved in ghost busting. And I feel like this movie remembered that it was a comedy. The first film was so somber and had so many elements of introduction. I just don't think it was as funny. And I felt like it was just leaning on nostalgia instead of being genuinely new and interesting. This movie introduces some real fun characters. Like I mentioned, Patton Oswalt's character, Dr. Hubert Wartiski, is sort of the next generation of Ray. And that is perfect. He is great to play a role like that. So Ray Stentz often being the person you go to when you need to figure something out. Well, now we have Dr. Hubert Wartiski, who is a reference for them to use in the future. He felt like a perfect analog for Ray. And I think Podcast in this version of in this film also is sort of stepping up and becoming the next Ray of the team. I think we have an introduction of Kumail, who is a descendant of the Fire Masters, who are keeping us safe from a deity that's trapped into a brass or bronze ball. And his family and family line has looked over this and is what captured this deity to begin with. That's fun. There's not enough of a character here yet. I feel like if they make another film and he's a part of it, he would be a fun aspect to have as in sort of alternate Ghostbuster when they need something specific having to do with fire. And this movie doesn't really give Finn Wolfhard anything to do. Trevor just is sort of sidelined for this whole film, and I am okay with that. I also don't. Lucky is back from the first movie and doesn't really have too much to do. There's a lot of storylines going on for a film that could have been a little bit more straightforward and a little more focused, and probably a little more fun. I don't know that we've set up new storylines that you can be deeply invested in like the first film, but they also didn't forget about the nostalgia. So this is where I feel like my frustration with this series is, and the need to bring back. Oh, they also created a new character called Lars Penfield, who is James Acaster, and he played by James Acaster, and he is sort of the uptight person who works in the R&D area that is being funded by Winston's money, trying to create and make more efficient ghost busting equipment and move forward ghost busting in a more scientific way. And there's a character introduced named Melody, who is Emily Allen Lynn's, who plays a ghost, Melody. And that ghost connects with Phoebe, who's dejected and feels like she's not being heard. And there's more than just a friendship. It feels like Phoebe gets to the point where she is willing, spoilers, where she's willing to become a ghost just to spend time with this other ghost. There's more than friendship here. It feels like there's longing, feels like there's some intimacy and connection that the movie's not willing to go all the way into. And then, of course, we're bringing back everybody, which is probably one of my least favorite parts of this movie. William Atherton coming back as the mayor, Walter Peck, is fun if you don't have everybody else here. But the fact that like they felt the need to bring back Bill Murray as Peter Venkman and Dan Aykroyd as Ray and Ernie as Winston and Annie Potts as Janine, I feel like what we should be getting at this point is they should be making sort of cameos when we need something. Like if we need some information that only Ray could know, the team should go to Ray. If there's a financial issue, there should be a phone call or a FaceTime with Winston. And if we need something that is like completely outside the realm of possibilities, a conversation with our friend Bill Murray, right? I think there's too much leaning on still the nostalgia berries and the characters from the previous trilogy or previous two films before we restarted with Afterlife. I think they just need to be okay with the new team moving forward. Let's keep the original cast in reserves. None of what they're doing feels like it's adding to the impact of the feeling or emotion anymore. It just feels like we're putting them there so we can point at them and be like, I know that. I know them. I know that person. And that's losing credibility with me as an audience member. I didn't hate it as much in Afterlife because I felt like we needed to pass the torch. But at this point, I wish they would assume that the torch has been passed because the next generation of Ghostbusters is really fun. They can hold a movie. They can carry a movie. Carrie Coons playing Callie Spangler, who is 100% over being a mom, is very funny. Paul Rudd trying to be like, fill-in dad and good-heartedly trying to protect and save the kids and also be there to support Callie. He's great. These are really good actors. I don't know that we need to, and I think, stop leaning away from Phoebe Spangler, from McKenna Grace. She can anchor these films. She is really, really great. Let's let the kids in this film become the next generation of Ghostbusters. It should be Finn Wolfhard and McKenna Grace and who else we could talk about? The kid who plays Podcast, Logan Kim, and maybe Celeste O'Connor is Lucky, right? Wouldn't that be nice? There's a foursome, and everybody else is in support of these people. These next generation should be running this film and all films going forward. I didn't hate this film. I was a little disappointed when I had seen it and came out the other end of it and was like, God, just trust in the next generation to be able to carry this film. Yeah, you should see it, especially if you want to see it in a big screen. The experience was good. It sounds great. I just think there's too many competing storylines, too many competing people, and the ones I'd be willing to get rid of are the nostalgia characters. Pretty pleased with Sugar on Top. Let this cast move forward. Let us have the next generation of the Ghostbusters. They're strong enough. They've got enough handle on these characters. Believe in them. That's it for me. I'm going to stop it there. Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at GeekOnFilm.com. My Twitter and Instagram and Letterboxd are all Robbie the Geek. And John, my sometimes partner in crime, is John Hosh on Twitter and Instagram. Feel free to follow him and see all his amazing exploits. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I look forward to my next movie review, which I believe is going to be Monkey Man. It's either Monkey Man or Civil War. They're very close, but I am looking so forward to both of those films. Please reach out and yell if there's anything you'd like to chat about, and have a good week. Bye-bye. This has been a Geek on Film podcast. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.